All right, listen, I'm here to tell you why your dream business is going to fail. Most small business owners, every year, thousands of them, open their doors. They're full of energy, they're full of optimism. They're about to start their dream business. But 90% are going to fail to make it to 5 years. 90%. And of that 10% that survive, a further 90% are going to fail to make it to the 10-year mark. Them stats do not lie. That's a reality that most of the thousands of people that start their businesses aren't going to survive. And you think it's because of a lack of hard work or a lack of talent. But in most cases, it's the talent and the hard work are just not applied in the right areas, right? Michael Gerber, this book, The E Myth, it changed my life and it changed my business. Without this book, I wouldn't have made it to the 10-year mark. And by all means, my business is nowhere near perfect. It's nowhere near where I want it to be. But I know I wouldn't be around still trying to achieve the goals of this book if it wasn't for me reading this book when I first opened my business. So, most of you, let's start with number one. You're really good at the thing that you do. For me, I'm passionate about the fitness industry. I love it. Ever since I started working out at 12 years old, I wanted to own a gym, right? I wanted to be a professional athlete, all them things. And when I got to open my dream gym, I just loved every aspect of it. I still love every aspect of programming, of the equipment, of coaching, of every aspect of fitness. I absolutely love it. And that's one of my biggest problems, right? I know how to do everything in the gym. And by knowing how to do everything means I suffocate it. I want control of it. And so by opening a gym, Michael Gerber calls it he has a great phrase for it. He calls it entrepreneurial seizure. I had an entrepreneurial seizure. I was working in a gym and I said, I can do it better. Not knowing that the fitness part of this is not what's most important to running a business, right? What about marketing? What about hiring? What about financial management? What about paying taxes? What about all the operations of running a business? What about customer service? What do I know about all them things? Nothing. I'm just really good at being a fitness coach. Well, if I want to be a fitness coach forever, I certainly should not be opening a gym. And that's what most people do, right? The lesson in the book, he talks about a girl called Sarah, and she's one of the best bakers. And all her friends say, hey, Sarah, you should open a bakery because you're so good at baking. But is that what makes a bakery successful? Of course, the food has to be good. Of course. But hiring a chef is very different to running a business, right? You knowing the ingredients to make a great cake doesn't mean you know the ingredients to running a successful business. And that's what happens to 90% of small business owners is we think that the most important thing is us knowing how to do the thing. They're entirely different skills, right? So that's step number one is you probably made, just like me, a fatal assumption, right? And that fatal assumption could take you down a 20-year path of you on the edge of burnout because you're trying to do everything that you think is the most important thing, right? I remember being in the business, and luckily I hired a business coach. And year one, I'm doing everything, right? And he says to me, you need to hire a cleaner because you spend all day Sunday cleaning the gym and you could be going and finding more clients to grow your business, to pay you more, to be more successful, to reach more people and give them your brand of fitness. And I said, I can't hire a cleaner because I clean it better than they could clean it. And I've still struggled to break that mindset, right? Cleaning the gym, I thought I was the best at it. He said to me, well, cleaning the gym is $15 an hour. If you go and get 5 more clients, that's probably worth 100 to 150, 200 unlimited amounts to the business because you're bringing in more customers. So by you cleaning the gym for that 2 hours, say it costs you $30 for that 2 hours, you could have got 2 or 3 more clients. So you just lost $300. So you're costing the business that much money by you being romantic about that service that you can do. So that takes us into number 2, that most small businesses were built around, just like I did, the technician, the doer, the hands-on, the person who loves doing the thing. That's one of my biggest problems. I love coaching. I love doing fitness. I love cleaning my gym because I got to see it built from the ground up. I love the floors because it cost me $10,000 to put them floors in. And so that was a whole credit card that I maxed out to do that. And like, that's one of my biggest problems is I love every aspect of my gym, just like you probably love every aspect of your business, but that's not growing the business, right? So most small business owners do 70, and I would say more, 80, 90% technician work, 20% manager and 10% entrepreneur. But really, most entrepreneurs are just like me when they first start, and they're doing 99% of the technician work and then struggling and drowning in everything else that it takes to run the business. And eventually, all that stuff starts catching up with you, right? It might not catch up year 1, but year 2, it starts to build up. Year 3, it's time to crush you. By year 4 and 5, it does crush most small business owners, and that's why they're not around in year 4 and 5, right? You only have so much energy. You only have so much energy. You need to be setting the direction of the business. You need to be implementing the organization and the consistency of the service, and then doing the work, right? And so when you think about your business and you think about doing it, you started it because you wanted to be the best fitness coach. That was me. You wanted to be the best baker. You wanted to be the best, what do you call it? Like a gardener, or I'm struggling to find the word. But you wanted to be the best at executing, right? Best landscaper, best builder. But then you realize that you've got to start building systems. And that was me, right? All I had to do was build a system and put it in place that this is how I want my gym to be cleaned. This is the most important things for me. And once I build that checklist and that system, now I can pass it on to someone else and I can level myself up. And that is the first system that you create in your business. That's you working on the business for the first time. Now it doesn't depend on you 24/7. And when you do that, you can then level yourself up, hire people to do it, and you actually start owning a business and not a job. At first, you just created the world's worst job for yourself. So system number 1 was that. Then the next level up from that was like, you need to hire a coach. Now that is the reason I got into this, because I thought I was the best coach. And that's great. But if I want to be the best coach, if I want to be the best baker, if I want to be the best landscaper, then I can go and work for a company and I can go and be the best version of that. I'll probably get paid more. I'll get vacation time. I'll get all the benefits of working for someone else without all the other things crushing me every single day. So if that's what I want to do, I should never open a business. I should never have had that entrepreneurial seizure. I should just go and work and become the best trainer. I should just go and work and become the best landscaper. I should just go and work and become the best baker or chef or whatever. Don't go and open a restaurant. Just become the best at being the chef. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the business owner. So now I had to put in a system to create the best coaches, to create the consistent service that I thought I was providing. Which, if you've ever been into a business that's been around for a few years and the business owner is doing all the work, you notice that the service is not consistent. The service becomes what the owner's energy level is. And at that point, 2-3 years in, and I've seen this 20 years in, I've seen this 15 to 20 years in where the business owner's been doing it, the business just relies on the owner's energy. And that owner's trying to do it all. So how are they going to provide a consistent service when there is no system? They're not. Depending on how they feel that day is the service that someone's going to get. And that's not going to be a good service if something terrible or something just happened in their life that they're struggling with, that's the service that the customers are going to get. So your job becomes create a system to provide a consistent service. And I remember when I made my first coaching hire, finally it felt like someone had lifted a pillow off my face and I could breathe. I didn't want to create a system. I just wanted to take a step back for a minute and breathe. And that's what happens to a lot of business owners. And then you go in your gym and you go in your business and you don't recognize the service that's being provided anymore. And for me, that's happened multiple times when I've been like, that's not how we're supposed to coach. That's not how we're supposed to deliver that service. That's not how I would do it. But nobody knows how you would do it because it was all in your head. And a great phrase that I got from someone was, don't be a seagull manager. Don't do seagull management, which is where you come in a couple of times a week and you just shit on everybody and then you leave. Doesn't help anything. And you see most businesses, they hire somebody, there's no system, that person starts delivering it a certain way. It's not the way you would do it. The first person complains and then you fire that person thinking it's their fault, when really it was your fault, because how are they supposed to know how you would coach when you never told them? And that was system number 2 for me, was this is how you coach. System number 1 was this is how you clean an Oxfit gym. I only have one location, but that's my first franchise document, right? And this is number 4. This is what Michael Gerber calls the franchise prototype. System number 2 was a way to coach a class. That was franchise document number 2. Now, I can give you a system for how to do it, and I can evaluate you on how you do that. And now that's a consistent service. My gym's cleaned consistently how I would do it. The service is consistent because I have a checklist to make sure you're doing it. And I understand what the most important things are that I did every day that you can do. And now I've got 2 systems in my business. Now it's becoming a franchise. It's not just people making it up. Now that's consistent and efficient, and I can start to scale my business up. And that leads to system number 5, where it gets really uncomfortable, and it's a real big step. You understanding that you need to try and build a business that can grow without you. Most business owners are like me. You love it. You want to be indispensable to your business. You know, you named it after yourself. Oxfit is named after me and Oxley, right? And most entrepreneurs do that. They name it after themselves. It's their business. Sarah's Cakes, Ant's Gym, Dave's Landscaping. And you're proud of it. You love it. I'm there with you too. But eventually, when it's not doing well, and you're not good enough as an entrepreneur, and your systems are not in place, and things are not going good, and people are not getting a consistent service, you wonder why you named it after yourself, and you try and hide from it. But you can't hide from this mindset change where you've got to understand that in order for the business to be successful, you cannot be the business. The business has to become the business, and you have to become a part of that business. You have to be able to take a vacation and it still grow. Otherwise, you're gonna burn out. And that's what happens to 90% of businesses. So only 10% survive to 5 years and another 10% only survive to 10 years. If you want to be one of that 10%, you have to start building these systems, right? It can't be dependent on you. You got to become a real business owner. You've got to take these steps. You've got to understand that you had a seizure. That's fine. Now start building systems, right? Now start understanding what the most important work in the business. Work on the business. Build them systems and build a business that can live without you. The final most important thought just on top of this is that the product is not. So for me, the product is not the fitness. The product that I'm building is a fitness business, right? The cake is not the product. If you have a landscaping business, cutting the grass is not the product. It's the business, right? And that business is a franchise prototype. How can I best describe that is, I don't care what you think about Starbucks coffee. I don't care what you think about McDonald's burgers. if you go to any one of these in the world, you're going to get a consistent service. Now, whether you like that consistent service doesn't matter. It's going to be consistent. And there's thousands of them. Most people won't get a consistent service from your business, and there's one of your business, and there's one of you doing everything. If they're not getting a consistent service for one, then that's the problem. You need to think of your business that if there was 20 of them, if there was 30 of them, if there's 40 of them, if there was 1,000 of them, how would it be consistent, right? Even if you only ever have one business, you still have to do that, because that means that you're building something that can thrive and not survive. And one of the key takeaways I want you to take away from this is, if you don't do this, Michael Gerber says, one of the scariest things is not a business that fails. It's an adolescent business that survives. And I'm sure you've been in an adolescent business, a business there, there's no real systems, there's no real structures. The owner's running around trying to do everything. The staff don't know what they're doing because they're just going on how the owner feels that day. And you can tell that the business owner's burnt out, the business is stagnating, and it's right on the edge of failure, but it's surviving. And that's one of the scariest things, right? Is when you see the business just right on the edge of failure, but just struggling to survive. And the owner, you see him every day and you ask him how they're doing, and they're like, struggling. That's not why you started this business. You started it because you had a dream. And you can make that dream a reality if you start to build systems and structures that are in this. You'll be able to take a vacation. That business will keep growing. You might be able to build 2, 3, 4, 5 locations. That dream doesn't die a few years in. It doesn't have to. If you need help running the business, the day-to-day, working, building the purpose and building your dream, that's what the Freedom Project's all about. That's what I love working with business owners trying to do. And just so you know, I'm still in that same situation, right? I have a whole system and structure that I help walk you through. And I'm in some of them phases still to this day. But every day I get up and I get to work on my dream business. It's not a nightmare, right? It's still a dream. And I still want to build that dream. And I want it to be a point where if someone came along in 5 years, they wouldn't have to buy me. They'd be able to buy a business. And if I didn't like what they were offering in 5 years' time, my business is such a dream that I want to keep it, right? But you've got to build your business like you're going to sell it, even if you never intend to sell. And I never intend to sell because I absolutely love this thing. And still 10 years in, I love it. And I'm still working on all the steps of this. But I'd love to work on them with you. And we can work together to build your freedom and your dream over the next few years and months. Keep crushing it. Go get it. And I'd love to hear how you're struggling with this or how you're being successful.